Hi everyone, I'm Gamesmith, and today we're going to talk about everything I loved and hated about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Before I begin, I would like to give you an idea about what kind of Pokemon player I am. I do not play competitively, grind for shinies, or try to breed Pokemon with perfect IVs. The last Pokemon game I played before BDSP was Pokemon Sun and Moon, and I haven't touched it for several years. I'm just a guy that likes to pick it up and enjoy the Pokemon formula. Also, just note that there could be spoilers in this video, as well as a couple non-important details from Legends of Arceus, so you have been warned. All of that being said, there were several things I enjoyed and disliked about BDSP. There were also a few things I had mixed feelings about, so I'll go through those first. First on the mixed feelings list, the difficulty is inconsistent. The game is built so that you can see almost every Pokemon to log into your Pokédex via battles with trainers on your journey. As long as you battle each one, you'll get all of the necessary Pokédex entries, excluding a few legendaries, but you'll also gain most, if not all, of the requisite experience necessary to face off against the gym leaders. This makes the gym battles not very challenging, or not as challenging as they could be. Some players have even reported avoiding trainers so they don't overlevel their Pokemon so that they can have more of a challenge. All of this is pretty consistent until you reach the Elite Four. Up until then, you've been conditioned to think that as long as you fight all of the trainers, the next major battle with a gym leader will be taken care of. However, the Elite Four jump in level and difficulty, taking it from very easy to medium at least. I would suspect that many players who are newer to the franchise suddenly found themselves unable to cope with 5 major battles in a row. Again, my issue is not that it gets more difficult, I enjoy that. It's that the jump in difficulty is so drastic between the gym leaders to the Elite Four, and then the rest of the game. Number 2, the affection system. For those of you who don't know, once you've spent enough time and other requirements with your Pokemon, they will begin to garner affection for their beloved overlord. I mean, you, the player. Pokemon that have affection for their trainer will do things like heal status conditions like poison or paralysis by themselves, or even survive major blows so they don't faint right away. Depending on your approach to the game, this can be a good thing or a bad thing. Those seeking a challenge will probably not want this mechanic, while more casual players probably won't mind when their Pokemon survives that big hit. The problem here is that you cannot turn this mechanic off. Making it permanently on really reduces the variation of experiences that players can have. Number 3, bugs. Soon after the game was released, many players found bugs and exploits in the game that turned it into more or less of a joke. You could skip through complete areas and reach the end of the game without having to complete most of the game. You know another game you could do that in? Mario 64. Do you know how old Mario 64 is? You could also duplicate items and Pokemon with little effort. Obviously, I would never participate in this type of behavior. Obviously. But I think it shows a real lack of care and attention to detail on a series that many people hold as a beloved franchise. Number 4, legendaries available in Romanus Park. After completing the post-game and obtaining the National Dex, players can go to Romanus Park where they can encounter many of the legendary Pokemon from previous series. I thought this was awesome. This feature would have made it into my love category, except for the fact that it's hidden behind hours upon hours of mining for those stupid, mysterious shards. They only have a 15% chance of spawning, and the small shards only cover a 2x2 square, meaning that they can be easily missed. They cannot be held by Pokemon, so the duplication glitches will not work for this item alone. Why did they care about this one item if they didn't care about the others? If I weren't making videos covering the BDSP series, I would not have spent as much time as I did hunting those little pieces of Clefairy droppings. I'm not saying they don't have to make reaching the legendaries a challenge, but certainly they could come up with a different mechanic other than wasting my life hunting those shards. Number 5, you can't change the time or day for events. In order to finish the Sinnoh Dex and obtain the National Dex, you must see every Pokemon in the Pokédex. There are a few Pokemon that can be easily missed, such as Drifloon. There are only 2 trainers that have Drifloon in their arsenal, and you will most likely miss them if you bypass the trainers in Fantina's gym. The only other place to see it is on Fridays in Floroma Town. But what if it's Saturday, and this is the only day I can play because my parents are Amish, except on Saturdays? If you change Nintendo Switch's internal time and day to Friday, you would think you could go encounter Drifloon, but no. The game penalizes you by freezing events such as honey trees, berries being grown, and the spawning of Drifloon. It's not the end of the world, but it is otherwise annoying for people like me who are not able to play whenever they want. Number 6. The Poketch apps are mostly useless. It seems like in most Pokemon series there is a Poketch equivalent, some apparatus that you can use to track Pokemon or various other activities. I found that I rarely used the Poketch until after the main game, and even then I only used the HM screen, PokeRadar, the Chain Counter app, and the Pokemon Tracking app. All of the other apps were bloatware as far as I'm concerned. This isn't all bad, not all of them can be winners, however there's no way to uninstall or disable any of these apps. Again, not the end of the world, but I wish they would allow for a little more customization in a game where every player's teams and abilities are different. Number 7. This game feels like a copy. This one didn't affect me so much as maybe those who played the originals, but the game seems like it's more or less a copy and paste of the original rather than a significant update. During my research for this video, I came across several posts lamenting the fact that they didn't add anything new to this remake, such as Mega Evolutions, the Platinum decks, or other mechanics from other more recent generations. I understand that there's a balance that should be maintained between staying true to the original and adding in additional features. For me, it was mostly a moot issue since I didn't play the original, so I may not know what I'm missing out on. However, if I was using a rotary phone and cell phones existed, and then the Pokemon Company didn't tell me cell phones existed, I wouldn't be happy about it. Number 8. Experience Share. For those of you who grew up in a world with no experience share, this feature is a welcome addition to the game. Back in my day, you would need to take Pokemon like Abra or Magikarp to the daycare and spend time running around to raise their experience. Or by making them the first Pokemon in your team and then you'd switch them out with another Pokemon that would fight until finally they were evolved and they could take care of themselves. I very much enjoyed the fact that I could keep Magikarp in my team and not have to go to such lengths to raise its level. That being said, this should be a feature that you can turn off. There might be situations where you don't want it on, and it makes the game less challenging overall. Now that we're past the mixed feelings, we'll discuss the parts that I pretty much disliked in the game. Number 1, all of the hand-holding. I previously mentioned some things I had mixed feelings about concerning certain features that should be optional, such as experience share and the affection system. These can be good or bad depending on your approach to the game. However, one thing I did not enjoy is how much the game insists on holding your hand at various points in the game. The opening tutorial is mind-numbing for people who have played Pokemon before. I already know that Pokemon will appear in the tall grass. I already know how to use items such as potions, and I already know that lowering a Pokemon's health will make it easier to catch. The Pokemon Company has used the same formula in every version of its franchise thus far, excluding maybe Legends of Arceus. Even if the only other Pokemon game I had ever played was Red or Blue, I would still not need this tutorial. I wish they would ask a simple question at the beginning of the game. Have you ever played a Pokemon game before? If you have and don't want the tutorial, then they don't make you suffer through these parts. And it's not just isolated to the beginning of the game. Battling the trainers gives you enough experience to handle any gym leader. There are sections in the game, such as Eterna Forest, where you must accept a travel companion that heals your Pokemon after every battle. There's no challenge, and it reduces the amount of satisfaction you would otherwise have if you had to rely on your own grit and capacity to conquer these areas yourself. I don't even mind having the doubles battles. I actually found them enjoyable, but I never worried about my Pokemon because I knew they would be healed after every battle. This isn't in the mixed feelings section because I think that it actually lowers the overall enjoyment of the game by taking away so much of the challenge. They could easily add some variability to the game and let players decide how they want to approach each situation. Number 2, the avatar looks like a toddler. During my research for this video, I didn't see anyone else complain about this. but I do not like the way the avatars look and move like a bunch of overgrown toddlers with 500-pound heads. I'm not exaggerating when I say that the first thing that came to mind was a vision of a 2-year-old child barely managing to stay upright under the weight of its own giant head. I got used to it after a while, but I feel like their heads do not need to be that big. Number 3. All of the features aren't available. I understand that games come out with downloadable content and bug fixes after the game's initial release. However, certain features seem to be missing that should already be included. These are features like the Coliseum, Global Wonder Trade, and Pokemon Home. During my research, I found numerous posts about when these features would be available. It is in fact the most commonly asked question that I have found. As of the making of this video, there has been no official news on when any of these will be made available to the public. One YouTuber even managed to use a glitch to access the Global Wonder Trade system. It appears that it already exists and is functional in the game. It has just not been made available. Also, I find it annoying that some Pokemon such as Shaman and Darkrai are not officially available in BDSP. However, they are available in the new Legends of Arceus game. I believe that they may be captured in BDSP via a glitch, but I haven't attempted this. It seems like they rushed to get this game out so they could prop up Legends of Arceus properly, since Arceus is based in the Sinnoh region like BDSP. The reason this irritates me is because it's an unfinished game. I paid full price. There seems to be an issue with that logic.
I just gave you 100% of the money to make 100% of the sandwich.
There also seems to be no timely follow-up to the release of these missing features. Number 4. The Pokemon following you feature is kind of messed up. After you visit Amity Square in Hearthome City, you can have Pokemon follow you around. This will increase their affection for you, which is important for evolutions like Eevee and Togepi, who need full affection to you before they can evolve. The problem with this is that they cannot keep up to save their lives, especially if you're on a bike. Some of the animations even look ridiculous, like Ekans. Is this the worst thing in the game? No. However, like I mentioned earlier, I think it showcases the lack of care and attention to detail and makes the game look rushed. Feeling like the game is rushed honestly lowered my enjoyment of the game as a whole. That being said, some of the sprites actually look pretty cool. Number 5. That freaking bike. I don't know if I'm the world's worst bike driver or not. Maybe I'm just used to my giant monster truck. However, I found the bike to be very annoying. Annoying to the point that I wouldn't use it except to go over those ramps which require the use of the bike. Even with the ability to change gears and go faster or slower, I still found it unusable. There are not many straightaways in BDSP where you can take advantage of the fast mode. In fact, the only real benefit to the fast mode I can see is if you're trying to hatch Pokemon eggs. The slower mode is more manageable, but I still ran into everything in my path. Most annoying is the kickoff when you first start moving. You don't just start moving right away. Instead, you go slow for half a second, and then you take off at full speed. In tighter areas, this makes it very clumsy. Is this supposed to make it somehow more like how a real bike behaves? Why is this the only mechanic in the game that aspires to such levels of realism? Having played other Pokemon games, I don't remember ever having this issue, and I could not wait until I had a bike. But not in this game. At least the running shoes made up for the bike's uselessness. Number 6. They shiny locked Mew and Jirachi. Why? Just why? Shiny Mew is my favorite Pokemon. Every other Pokemon besides Mew and Jirachi can be shiny hunted. Will Baskin Robbins decide not to serve chocolate ice cream anymore because they have 30 other flavors? But I digress. Number 7. The HM animations and unnecessary blockage. I'll talk about my love of the HM system later on, but one aspect I found very annoying were the constant HM animations I had to sit through during the game. Every time I go to surf in a new room, I have to watch Bidoof flash out. This is cool maybe the first and second time, but after a while, it becomes a time sink. They could easily streamline this process. In the new Legends of Arceus game, if I'm riding a Pokemon and then I hit the water, I will then immediately start riding on the water Pokemon. Instant transition. Why do you have to ask me if I want to surf every time? or use strength to move this boulder I've been running into for 3 seconds. If I have the HM already, you don't need my input. Just move it. I was also annoyed because these moves aren't needed as often as they are used in the game. I understand that they are there to help prevent players from going into areas before it's time and the game can stay on a linear storyline. However, after I reach the area where I need to use defog to progress, don't make me use it again for no apparent reason. Number 8. The TMs breaking. I don't know how big of a deal this is for everyone else. Maybe it's just me, but I did not enjoy the fact that TMs break after using them. Pokemon Sun and Moon had reusable TMs. I remember thinking this was an excellent feature. You could collect all of the TMs kind of like you could collect all of the Pokemon. It really appealed to the completionist side of me. However, more than that is the fact that your Pokemon team can be constantly evolving as you progress through the game. Maybe you teach a TM to a Pokemon now, but you don't need it later and you'd prefer to move it to another Pokemon so that your team remains balanced. Well, you may not be able to unless it's one that you purchased or if you receive multiple TMs from an NPC. The most annoying part of this system is the fact that they gave you the quality of life update in Sun and Moon, but they neglected it here. They took a step backwards, or they just overlooked it. Either way, annoying. So up until now, I've had either mixed feelings, or you just heard me complain for 10 minutes about the things I didn't like. It's not all bad. Now we're going to discuss the things that I loved about the game. Number 1, the HMs. After not having played Pokemon in years, I was pleasantly surprised to learn that you were not forced to make your Pokemon learn HMs as part of their moveset. For those of you who may not be familiar, you used to have to make one or more of your Pokemon learn all of these moves to be able to use them in the overworld. This led many to have what was called an HM slave like Bidoof who could learn multiple HMs. Moves like Waterfall and Surf weren't bad, but moves like Cut or Flash were painful when you had to replace a solid move from one of your Pokemon and you never ended up using them in battle. The fact that this is no longer the case is a huge quality of life improvement, and I very much appreciate it. Number 2, there is a wide array of Pokemon available. The Sinnoh Dex is comprised of 151 Pokemon, however the National Dex is comprised of 493 Pokemon. Even though 70% of the available Pokemon are limited to the post-game, I found it very enjoyable to start encountering them by different methods such as the Ground Underground, Swarms, and the Old Rich Guy's Special Garden. It also seems like they could add additional Pokemon once things like the Wonder Trade and Pokemon Home are available. Number 3, the Grand Underground. The Grand Underground was new to me when I picked up BDSP. I did not realize how vast the areas are, and it adds quite a bit of variety to the world above. I liked how you could find certain rooms where certain Pokemon were more likely to appear. I also liked how the Pokemon in the Grand Underground would go up in level as you completed gym badges, making it a good place to level up Pokemon that might need it. I also liked the mining aspect of it because you could find certain evolutionary items like water stones earlier in the game. However, I didn't realize that you could press R to make the wall shine until after about 20 hours of gameplay, so I ran around pressing A all over the place, trying to find the mining spots. Not my best moment, but it was fun nevertheless. Number 4, the post-game has a lot of activity. I won't say too much here since I made an entire video of 15 things you can do in the post-game, but some highlights are shiny hunting with the Pokeradar, challenging the Battle Tower, rematching the gym leaders in the Elite Four, and catching the legendaries at Romanus Park. I'll post a link to the video in the description if you want to check it out. Number 5, remote access to the boxes. Not immediately, but shortly into the game, an NPC named BB will give you remote access to your Pokemon boxes. I don't remember this feature being available in any previous generation that I played, but I love the fact that I don't have to go to a Poke Center to swap out my Pokemon anymore. This is a huge quality of life issue for me, and I really appreciate it. Number 6, the Pokeradar. I've never been much of a shiny hunter, but I did give it a go with BDSP and the Pokeradar feature. Normally your odds of catching a shiny Pokemon were 1 in 4,096. Shiny Pokemon were so rare that I didn't even know they existed prior to the release of Pokemon Go for cell phones. However, with the Pokeradar, I gave it a shot. The point of the Pokeradar is to create a chain where you catch the same Pokemon over and over. As you do this, the odds of catching a shiny Pokemon continue to rise. If you manage to chain 40 Pokemon, your odds increase to 1 in 99, which is so much better. Because of this, I was able to catch 2 shiny Dittos. I won't go into all the minute details of how to do the chain, I'll leave that up for other YouTubers, but I did find it enjoyable to shiny hunt Pokemon using this method. Otherwise, honestly, I probably wouldn't do it. Number 7. Rematches with the gym leaders and the Elite Four. Again, I don't know if this feature was available in other generations, but I found it very entertaining to return to the gym leaders and Elite Four and champion for rematches. Their Pokemon are much stronger and their teams are much more filled out, so it is much more challenging. I wish some of this challenge was found a little earlier in the game, but at least you get it at some point. Number 8. The music. Honestly, this is one of my favorite things about the game. I compared the music in the remake to the music in the original, and the music in the remake, in my opinion, is much better. Granted, the original music was played through a Nintendo DS, and this has the benefit of being on the Switch. However, I found many of the tracks very enjoyable to listen to, and I listened to them outside of the game as well. Number 9, and the final thing on my list, is just reliving the Pokemon journey. Coming back to Pokemon after several years, it was fun to revisit the Pokemon formula. Build a team of your own Pokemon, defeat the gym leaders, the Elite Four, become the champion, and finally, catch them all. My overall experience with the game was a very positive one. Even though there are some things I wish they would fix or change, negatives do not outweigh the positives. It is still a solid game in its own right. It just needs some polish in the right areas to make it a truly great game. Well everybody, that's going to be it for now. If you got any value out of the video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. If you have any suggestions on things you did like, didn't like, mixed feelings, please leave them below so everyone can benefit. Also, I have several other videos on the BDSP series, including a full walkthrough of the game up to the battle with Cynthia. Please feel free to check them out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.